Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Great Minds Think Alike. I'm Gabby.
And I'm Nick.
And we want to welcome you to episode 3.
Yes. So in the past few episodes, we introduced the podcast. We kind of gave you a glimpse of what the episodes will be like. So we're going to keep that moving with this one. And we have a theme that we want to hit right up front for this episode.
So throughout this episode, we're going to be talking about how you can automate small steps for large results over time.
Exactly. And we're just going to say that one more time. Automate small steps for large results over time. Right, and we just wanted to put that out there up front. When you're listening to everything else we're saying on this episode, keep that quote in mind.
I also want to shout out the book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. We're going to be referencing that a few times throughout this episode.
Yep, because the compound effect is what makes these small decisions become drastic. So, yeah, let's jump into things.
All right. So for our business topic today, we're going to be talking about the pay yourself first method.
Yeah, so the pay yourself first method, in my opinion, is the most important financial principle there is. You know, you can know everything else. If you're not doing this, you're not going to get ahead. And in a sense, what it means is before paying your bills and before spending money on entertainment and things you want, you make sure you're saving and investing first, paying yourself first.
Yeah, and we've broken this down into 4 separate steps. So the first one is going to be automating your investments.
Yep. And we just want to put out there that this is important. We understand some people are struggling, behind on bills. You know, life has gotten much more expensive in the past few years. Even if it's small, even if it's a very,
like $10 we're talking.
Very incremental amount, you need to start up weekly, monthly, or daily contributions. So just want to put it out there. There's no scale to it, but in order to do yourself a favor, you have to start.
So that is also for long-term gains.
Yeah, and that is the first step of the pay yourself first method. So we're breaking it down into 4 parts. Right, and these are not done by accident. We're putting them by most important to least important, right? The steps that you should do it. So as Gab said, number 1 is the investments. Automate these investments into these index funds. And, you know, these are the long-term investments. You're not going to be able to take the money out, right? There's going to be penalties, fees if you take them out. You'll pay taxes on it. So it's not something that you need right away. But this will make you the richest overall.
And just have it automatically taken out of your bank account. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it as money as you could spend that is designated for your investments. So make sure you're doing that every single month if you're not able to do it weekly.
Yeah, and the unique thing about the Vanguard, the index funds that you mentioned, are that not only do they mimic the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, where they go up with the stock market, but they also pay you dividends that you're reinvesting. And that is the key to it, that the bigger your account gets, the more money your money makes for you. And that's why it's so important to set it up no matter what.
Yeah. So then moving on, we have the high yield savings account.
So this is the second most important thing, is the high yield savings account. After you've invested, the next thing you set up is this savings account.
So we briefly talked about this, I think, in the last episode, but again, this is something that you want to have in a high yield savings account rather than like a TD, or I say that because I have TD, but you don't want to have a savings account with them because you are making pennies on interest. You are making, right now, this is not going to last, but you're making 4% interest with the high yield savings account that we have. And what we use is Marcus Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, and the utility of this, and the reason that I'm putting this at number 2 on our list is because this is money that is extremely liquid. And what that means is you can access it within a day if you want it. So this is best for a emergency fund, a house savings fund. This is money that if tomorrow happens, you can have it in hours.
And this is just like, again, like rainy day funds. If your car breaks down, you are able to pull this money out that you have saved without any penalties.
Exactly.
So that's what really like the biggest thing here is like money that you can easily access and take out, liquidate it without any penalties for yourself.
Because we know life happens, medical expenses, children, family, your car breaks down, the example we like to use. So even, what we use it for right now, I might as well share some of our insight, is the property that we're looking to purchase. We know that in any given day at this point, we may need to pull out a down payment and buy a house. So we have the down payment funds within this high yield savings because we know at any time we need to pull it out.
Yeah. And with that too, like the more money you have in, the more money you get back in interest, but the interest really works for you.
So we'll recap so far. The first thing you spend your paycheck on is your investments. Make sure you automate a certain amount no matter what.
And those are the long-term savings.
The second most important thing you do is your savings account. And like Gab said, you're not just putting it in, TD, no shade to them, but in any regular savings account that gives you 0.001%, you want to put it on a high yield savings account like we do in Marcus. And that is for?
Money you need right away.
Exactly, the short-term money. So now here comes the fun part. That's sarcasm. The third thing on our list, which you do after you pay yourself, then you go and pay your expenses. So that's your bills, your rent, your mortgage, anything else that you have that's due. Credit card bills, anything you want to add?
Well, I do want to just call ourselves out for a second because we're telling you guys to pay your bills coming up as third. It's going to all make sense at the end, but you're going to need a budget. So I just want to throw that out there just to not contradict ourselves.
Exactly. It's budgeted. Within this budget, you're going to have each of these things lined up.
This is going to be you pay your bills, you pay your rent, groceries, any memberships you have. And honestly, with that budget, you can see you have Hulu, Netflix, Paramount Plus, whatever. Like, do you really watch all things on those streaming platforms? Like, it's just an easy way to like look at everything that you're paying for and just reevaluate.
Exactly. And now, the actual fun part.
The spending money.
Yeah. So
the fun money.
The last thing. Once you've invested, saved, and paid your bills, then you take the rest, and that's the entertainment funds, the nights out drinking, out getting dinners, pursuing your hobbies. But only after you've paid yourself and your bills do you have that money left over.
And this is where we can kind of incorporate balance, because when you make the budget and you allow yourself to have spending money, this is the way that you're going to be able to live fruitfully. Like, you have everything down pat, you're saving, all your bills are paid, and then you have some leftover money. You deserve to spend it on whatever you please.
Exactly. And that, like you touched on before, is really how balance comes into this, because when we are suggesting budgets for people, or when I'm putting, whether it's a pre-approval or just a friend or someone who found me online, right? I say, these are the 4 things that we're going to put together. Now let's look at what you make per year, per month, right? And let's look at your expenses. Okay, now you could save this much, you could do this month. And I like to leave a very generous amount of spending money. And it'll probably sound strange because we're being so strict about savings and everything, but the balance part is that it only works if you're generous with how much spending money you give yourself, so that I can sustainably do this. I can save this much. I can invest this much. I can pay my bills because I'm giving myself enough money where I don't feel restricted and I'm comfortable doing this long term. And that's really the most important part.
Yeah. So again, to reiterate, if you're going to be saving this much, if you're going to be doing this 4-step process and you need to take the savings down to a lower amount, feel free to do so. Just make sure you're doing it because it is going to compound.
So the most important thing about what we've said, it really goes back to what we mentioned when we first started the episode today. And that is to automate the small steps for large results. If you can automate what's coming out of your paycheck into the savings and investments each month, auto pay your bills, this is a breeze, right? And that will also transition us to our lifestyle segment, which is healthy alternatives and how small steps can cause really big results over time.
Yeah. And so I just want to start by saying, anything that we're going to say right here in this section is not groundbreaking information. Like, all of the ingredients that we're going to, briefly bring up, you can find them in your local shop, right? Publix, Trader Joe's, whatever it is, Whole Foods, obviously, but there are affordable options to make healthier swaps with the ingredients and diet that you already have.
Yeah, and like what you're saying is, it's not like you're going to get a whole new things. We're talking about the items that are already in your fridge, the things you already use every day, but just making a conscious effort to get the healthier version of them, so that whenever you're eating at home, it's just a bit healthier.
So these everyday ingredient swaps can compound over time. Like, it's not going to make a difference right away in a month, but like you're going to see these saved calories like over years. And like an example that in my life is I'm a huge ice cream advocate, have ice cream multiple times a week. I've switched to Greek yogurt ice cream bars because I don't want to take it out of my diet. That's the balance coming into play. I enjoy it. It makes me happy. So what can I do? I can use a healthy alternative for it.
Exactly. And same goes with everything else you eat. Think of things you have every day. Cheeses. Buy the low fat or no fat cheeses. The bread. There's different breads you can get that are
sauces is a huge one.
Yep. All of these little things that you're having multiple times a week or every day, if you could just lower them, it'll help over time. So let's talk about this, right? So let's say you make a couple healthier alternatives, and within the 3 meals you cook a day, you save about 200 calories a day. This is, 200 calories a day is very realistic, but doing 200 calories a day less is not going to make any difference in your body.
You're not going to see it short term.
And you say, okay, I burned 200 calories, who cares? So let's say you do that for a full year. Now you've saved 73,000 calories after 1 year. Let's multiply that by 2 years, 146. So about 150,000 calories that you save in just a quick 2-year span by eating healthier alternatives that you cook.
As long as you're consistent.
Exactly. Now you can look at this 2 ways. You can look at it as, well, my body will drastically change over 2 years because of all that saved. Or you can look at it from a balance perspective where it's, wow, with that 150,000 calories that I didn't eat, now if you have cravings, say you like a McDonald's or a Taco Bell or something of the sort, you can go there a couple more times without the guilt because you've made room for those meals with the calories you saved throughout the day.
Yeah. And I just wanted to talk on a formula that Darren Hardy speaks on in the compound effect. So I'm just going to bring that up really quick.
There's that golden book.
So we have states page 6, small smart choices plus consistency plus time equals radical difference. And the radical difference is in all caps. So there is extreme emphasis on that. So I feel like this formula really shapes this entire episode. This is really going to help. And again, it's long-term effects. And that's why we want to make this a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle. Doing this with your business is a lifestyle. Doing this with your, the healthy alternatives, it is how you're going to make your life healthier over time.
It goes back to our balance about all this. It's, if you make a bad decision, that's fine. If there's one day where you're supposed to work out and you don't, that's fine. But don't continue to make bad decisions because they can compound. And when you make a good decision, that's great, but don't celebrate the good decision. Oh, I went to the gym. I can celebrate by taking off the next 4 days. No. You have to use the compound effect in your favor and stop it from going against you. And that's by keeping these good decisions up.
All right, so moving on to our real estate topic today.
Yep. So actually, I kind of had a different idea for the real estate segment. I wanted to do more of a question and answer to get into the minds of Gabby, who is a real estate agent, and me, who is a mortgage broker, and kind of hit some hard-hitting questions about what's going wrong in the market today. Because let's be honest, it's no secret. It's a tough market. It's been a tough market for multiple years now. So let's figure out what the hell's going on. So Gab, my first question is for you. So what do you believe is the biggest problem in the market today?
1,000%, it is the lack of inventory. There are way more buyers than there are houses for sale right now. And, I get why. Another part of it is that the high interest rates and people who are currently in their homes right now and who may not be super happy with their situation in their house right now, but they are happy with their mortgage payment. So they're going to stay. They're going to be reluctant to move because they don't want a higher interest rate. In a normal market, this house would be for sale, but instead they're going to be reluctant to move because of the high interest rates.
No, exactly. And what you're saying, too, would make sense because in a normal market, some people who are not happy with their living space, with the details of their physical house, they would be selling right now and putting more houses to the market. But because of where their interest rates are and they don't know where they're going to go next, because let's not leave out that rent prices are high, too. So it's not like you could say, I'll sell, I'll cash out and rent for cheaper, both buying with the interest rates and rents high. So they're reluctant to put their houses on the market when they normally would, because of where interest rates and rent are.
Yeah, because they would be getting a smaller home for a higher pay. And I don't blame them.
Exactly. And that puts us where we are today, where there's no houses for sale and tons of people looking to buy.
So that's the problem. Let's find a way to work through the solution. So I'm going to ask you a question now. What do you think will happen when rates finally drop?
Yes, well, you know, when they drop. So I have two answers to that, and I'm going to take this two steps. So my first answer is initially it's going to be a nightmare. And the reason I say this is because when they first drop, and not by a significant amount when they start to drop, and they're around 7 right now. If they drop to 5, 6%, something a little bit lower, there's going to be millions of more buyers out there that hop back into the market that are waiting for rates to drop, but there's going to be no change in inventory. And these extra buyers that come in when rates drop a bit, they're going to cause more bidding wars, which is going to cause higher prices on the same home. Now, the solution that you mentioned that I think needs to happen, rates need to go low enough for these homeowners with low mortgages that we were just talking about. It's got to go low enough for them to feel comfortable listing their house and buying the next. That is going to be when the market will start to be normal, because not only will there be more buyers right when rates go low, but they need to go low enough where there's more sellers.
So we want to ask you, at what interest rate would you feel comfortable to move right now?
Exactly. The answer, we can't answer that, right? Only the market can answer that. So if you're watching this, if you're a homeowner or have a house with lower interest rate, what would rates have to drop for you to sell your house and buy the next one and help keep this economy moving? Hopefully, we're saying interest rates drop, but not a little bit where more buyers come, but enough for more sellers come as well.
Yeah. And that'll at least put a little bit more balance into the real estate.
Exactly. Talk about balance in our episodes. Balance in the real estate market. More houses for sale.
Yeah.
Oh, so I think that about wraps it up for episode 3. So thank you for joining us.
Like and subscribe. We appreciate you guys.
Yep.
Thank you so much. See you guys next week. Bye.